Warning: the following video contains explicit language which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
Hello, and I'm back. It's been a pretty good summer. When Hurricane Beryl came through on the 8th, it kind of suppressed our heat temperatures and stuff, and I've been out and about doing stuff, enjoying a July in East Texas that is been rather nice. It's been like high 80s, low 90s, when traditionally it's normally up over 100. So that's one of the things. I think I've touched on this in one of my earlier videos, that I was kind of quasi taking a break, just doing stuff when I can or when I feel like it. Once school year gets started and my wife's back doing her teaching stuff and I have more regiment, I'll be doing stuff on more of a scheduled thing. I'll figure out a schedule and we'll be doing that. But in this video, we are going to be doing the Black Tapes, Episode 2, A Tale of Two Tapes, Part 2, 2 of 2. So yeah, without further ado, actually, yes, with further ado, excuse me, I am, just a reminder, I am listening to this for the first time along with all of you all. So yeah, I have no idea what's coming up or what's happening. So let's do this.
I was wondering if you would be willing to explore that particular case a bit further.
Mr. Torres wasn't amenable to going any further.
Well, my producers got in touch with him. He's interested in reopening the case, so to speak. Strand asked that we stop recording for a moment.
Yeah, just a little bit, kind of a layer over with the last Black Tapes video I did, just to kind of refresh my memory, if not anyone, so that's kind of a thing.
And we had a discussion about the history of the Strand Institute's involvement in the Torres case. Mr. Torres agreed to an interview, and in the end, my producers and I were able to convince Strand to come along. It didn't take all that much convincing, which leads me to believe Strand may have been feeling a bit conflicted about the way things ended in San Francisco.
Yeah, it's kind of a guilt thing going, maybe.
Apparently, Mr. Torres was not at all happy with the Strand Institute's inability to disprove the film's seemingly paranormal events. Strand says he didn't think Torres was after the reward money, and, in fact, Strand says Torres never brought it up. I'll let you decide for yourselves.
But wouldn't that be the way to overtly get the money without being overtly trying to get the money? Kind of like a reverse psychology thing.
Coming up on the Black Tapes podcast, we go to San Francisco. I'm Alex Regan. Stay with us. Hi, thanks for meeting with us.
You're welcome. Dr. Strand,
Robert?
please come in.
Thanks.
See, I wonder, even though I live in a college town, and we have a lot of PhD doctors, I found outside of academic circles, very few of them actually insist on their title being, Doctor so and so, Doctor, Doctor George Beto or whatever. But within academia, they're just like fascist militant about it. Just, you will call me by my title. I was just wondering if that holds in other places away from where you don't have a large center of academia, where people have left academia and are pursuing other things. If this wanting to be called by their title, if you have any thoughts, ideas, or anything about that, you can put them down in the comments. So let's get back to it.
Make yourself at home.
Torres agreed to meet us in his home just south of San Francisco, in the suburb of Cupertino. He works in the finance department of a tech firm just outside Silicon Valley. His hair has a bit more gray than someone in his mid-40s would normally have, and he has the look of someone who doesn't sleep well.
Actually, I was accused of that when I was in my 40s, of having too much gray hair. In fact, I had friends telling me all the time that I should dye my hair, but I pretty much don't care, especially after I retired. So yeah, I don't know if it's just stress, genetics, or combination thereof.
And probably hasn't for a long time. It became apparent, immediately, that he and Strand had some history. Their relationship seemed strained.
You think?
So, Dr. Strand showed me your tapes, the birthday party
And the wedding.
How was Maria doing?
Not good.
And Sebastian?
With Maria.
I think I should take you back to the beginning, just to clean up the timeline a little. Robert Torres, the man in the 2 films on Strand's black tape, started experiencing strange events shortly after his marriage to Maria. They consulted a host of paranormal experts, including Lorraine Warren, and every single expert agreed. The couple were being haunted by a malevolent spirit.
Yeah, I'm probably sure they had some kind of expensive way to get rid of the spirit.
They referred to the shadows in the 2 videos as proof. Torres wasn't convinced and called Strand. Torres describes some of the events that prompted that initial call.
I was working late. It was our corporate year end, so I had to get our taxes in order. Except for the night janitor who was working on the floor above me, I was alone in the building. And as I was locking my office door, I heard something coming from the far end of the hallway.
Can you describe that sound?
It sounded like a fan, like something electronic.
See, the thing with that is, having lived in an apartment for, 26 years, then moving out here 10 years ago, it's just kind of interesting, the way we perceive things as, spiritual or extraterrestrial, whatever, that are just commonplace, just happened at a weird time. People and things line up to cause a out of place sound or something. When living out here in the country now, you hear weird shit all the time. And every time I've encountered hearing weird shit, there's always been a rational explanation for it, especially in certain times of the year when like food, like rodents and stuff like that, become scarce, and you're owls and hawks and stuff are hunting more, you get weird screeches and calls and stuff like that that just sound extraordinary. So yeah, it's just, I don't know, it's just, I have a hard time as far as reality goes. My suspension of disbelief for something like this is easy because I enjoy entertainment. I like entertainment. I tend to throw myself in entertainment. But when you try to cross that try to look at it, this could be real or whatever, there's just certain obstacles that my brain throws in the way.
You recognize it?
Yeah.
What was it?
It was the microwave.
And what happened next?
I walked down the lunchroom and I turned on the light. There was nobody there, but the microwave was on. It was cooking. Nothing. There was nothing in it.
There was nobody there.
Just me.
You were certain you were alone.
Absolutely.
How can you be sure?
I spoke with the night janitor on my way out. He'd already cleaned that wing of the building. There was nobody but me. And there was something else.
What?
As I was leaving, he asked me if my friend was going to be staying, and if so, he would need to sign in.
You said you were working alone.
I was.
So, what friend?
Yeah, I don't know if having, I don't know, this may just be seeing somebody. There may not have been a conversation going on. I was going to assume there was a conversation between the janitor and the friend, but there may not have been. I don't know. That's the cool part about listening to this for the first time.
What was he talking about?
The tall man.
He said the tall man?
He said he could see me working in my office from the second floor of the wing, directly across the courtyard from my office. He said he saw two of us in my office, me and the tall man.
But you were alone all night.
Absolutely.
Did this happen a lot?
This happened all the time. Appliances turning on, random banging noises. I can't tell you the amount of times people thought I was with somebody when I was clearly alone.
Or maybe you're just crazy. We don't,
Did you feel like you were being followed?
Yes.
How long did this go on for?
For at least a year.
What about Maria?
Maria, she heard things too. Voices when nobody was home. Sometimes she would lose time, an hour here or there.
Now, we have to assume that these are fairly straight-laced people. But I have, back when I was partaking of a whole lot of THC and psilocybin and other chemicals, I would lose time too. I mean, time dilation is interesting, but in the context of this being, like straight-laced people might drink beer or wine, I still, even sober, will get involved doing something, and especially if I'm out doing stuff with my chickens, hour, 2 hours is just boom, gone. Feels like 5 minutes. So the whole time dilation thing it's a good story thing, but when you go to apply it to real life, it's kind of interesting.
It was her. It was Maria who decided to call the priest and eventually the paranormal investigators.
And it was Maria who noticed the shadows in your wedding video and your birthday party film?
Yeah, that's right.
Maria, I wonder what her maiden name is. Just curiosity.
She was reasonable about the whole thing at first, pragmatic. She treated it like a cockroach infestation or termites, but that didn't last. And pretty soon she was acting different.
supernatural termites. That could be a hell of a Jack Black comedy.
Crazy. She became convinced that there were demons in our house. She would chant and burn sage. I honestly thought she was going to have a nervous breakdown.
And that's when you called Dr. Strand?
Yeah. It didn't take him long to figure out that we were experiencing what he called, what was that again?
Apophenia.
Apophenia.
Yeah, Dr. Strand once told me I was experiencing the same thing.
It's not uncommon.
Could you please define apophenia again for our listeners?
It's the mind's need to make sense of random things, to create patterns no matter how spurious the connection.
Yes. And I like this, the way they set up the dialogue, the exposition, how they deliver it, you know, as an interviewer wanting to clarify something for the audience. I love how they work their exposition because they don't have the visual to, you know, being a audio format, they don't have that visual for you to see. So they put it in their exposition. That's kind of cool.
It's what makes people believe they hear demonic voices when playing certain rock albums backwards. It's what makes the sports fan convinced that something he or she does can affect the outcome of the game.
What happened after Dr. Strand?
Now, that's interesting. I did not know it encompassed that far to the what's the word I'm looking for, the belief that, you know, like lucky socks or a lucky shirt, you know, or something, you gotta wear a lucky shirt when your favorite baseball team plays or whatever. Superstition, that's what I'm looking for. Superstition. So yeah, the superstition of it all. I guess in a kind of a way it does make sense for it to link up together like that.
And became involved.
Well, things were...
Sorry, centering everything around my team's arrival might be creating connections for the audience that aren't legitimately there.
Fair enough. Okay, around the time Dr. Strand was looking into your case, something changed, didn't it?
Yeah, things were different for me. I no longer felt like I was being followed. I didn't hear any strange noises. Things were calm, at least at first.
Now, when you get back to the strange voices, noises, stuff like that, there are birds. Peacocks being the most notable one, that when they screech or yell and it gets carried over a long distance, it sounds human. Yeah, the peacock is probably one of the most unnerving ones that I've come across. But there are other birds that do that, and I think either lions or tigers can mimic other animals and rudimentary human speech. I'd have to double check that, but I thought I saw something on like a National Geographic about it.
But Maria still wasn't convinced?
No. Things had become very strained between us. She was consulting psychics, mediums, spending a lot of money. We fought a lot. I told her what Dr. Strand said, that it was just apophenia. She wouldn't listen. She was really worried about her son.
Had something started happening with Sebastian?
Yes.
So, to clarify, Torres and his girlfriend at the time, Maria, had a child named Sebastian. They got married when Sebastian was 3 years old.
So, a child from a former marriage. Interesting.
He was ring bearer at his parents' wedding ceremony. Trust me, if you could see the video, that kid is really cute. The strange tall shadow in the background, not as cute. Robert Torres mentioned that things stopped happening to him around the time Strand finished his investigation. I think it's fair to say Strand's investigation was inconclusive, at least as far as Maria was concerned. So things stopped happening to Robert, but things didn't stop happening.
Now, did they not stop happening, or was Maria just projecting every little tiny thing into something bigger, or, you know?
We moved into this place. It's much bigger, and we had the yard. We were gonna get a dog. I hope things would get better, you know, more space, a change of scenery. But I noticed something was wrong almost immediately. Maria was getting worse.
This was after Dr. Strand had completed his investigation and went back to Chicago?
Yeah, that's right.
This is Sebastian's room?
Yeah. Our room, my room, is down at the end of the hall. First time I remember it happening, it was around 11 at night. Maria and I were watching TV. She went to check on Sebastian, and I heard her scream. I ran in, I saw her holding on to Sebastian, and he was crying.
What made her scream?
She said she saw someone standing over his bed, Sebastian's bed.
What did that someone look like?
She said it was a tall person dressed in black. Freakishly tall. She said his head almost touched the ceiling.
Death. Grim Reaper.
His.
She wasn't sure. His back was to her, but she thinks it was a man.
So she really didn't get a good look.
She turned the light on and whatever, disappeared.
Maria knows what the shadow looks like on both your wedding video and your birthday party film. She may have just transferred the shadow from you to Sebastian.
She wouldn't make this up, Dr. Strand. She would never frighten Sebastian like that.
You said there was more than one event?
She would never consciously make something up like that. But if something triggered a rudimentary fight or flight, paranoia, you know, that base, you know, lizard level thinking, if that gets turned on, there's a lot of things that make sense, but are totally absurd when you look at it from when you look at it rationally, when you're in that irrational, and where somebody, a third person, is looking at it rationally, you think they're the one that's irrational. It's kind of interesting. When I worked with Texas Department of Corrections, occasionally we'd get offenders that had mental issues, and that navigating that is just it's like walking through a minefield blindfolded.
Yeah. She was giving Sebastian a bath in here, and in the middle of it, she says she felt someone behind her. When she looked, it was that thing in black standing here in the doorway. It almost gave her a heart attack.
I don't suppose you recorded any of this?
Of course not. I just wanted it to stop.
Did you consider calling Dr. Strand at this point?
Maria wouldn't let me. She was pretty upset at this point.
Did she provide any other details about what she saw?
Not really. But she started calling it the Shadow Man.
How many more of these events were there?
And I think this is a good place to call it good for now. Like I said, I'm going to try, now that the good calm weather from the hurricane is gone, and we're now getting our 90s and 107, you know, heat index and stuff, I will probably be doing more videos, because it's just too damn hot to go outside. So until next time, be a good human, be good to other humans. Peace.
Hey, it's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?